Hello students, a quick video for our notebook for this week, Investigation 4, Week 1, Levels of Complexity. So we're starting our new investigation and focusing on what are the building blocks of cell structures. We talked about different cells in our last investigation. We did plant cells, animal cells, paramecium cells, and then we did that Cell City project or cell analogies where you all made an analogy. The cell is like a blank, and those turned out so amazing. So we know all about the cell structures and kind of like how they all have different little tiny jobs inside the cell. But now we're going to talk about what would those structures be made out of? We know that they're very, very small and they're inside a cell. What are they made out of when you start to look inside a cell? And so that's where we come into something called the levels of complexity. The first thing you need to do is fill out this reflection for investigation 3. So open up that Google form, and then you're going to fill that out. It's very quick. And here's our investigation 4, learning goals, learning intentions. We're learning about how organisms are made of cells. Cells are made of cell structures. Cell structures are made of molecules, and molecules are made of atoms. We're learning about how bacteria, archaea, and fungi and their roles on our planet. So 3 different life forms we haven't talked about yet. And then finally, we're learning about something called the domains of life, the 3 domains of life. That will be over the course of the whole investigation. So I know it sounds like a lot, but we'll be studying this for at least 3 or 4 weeks. Why is it important to learn about this stuff? Well, bacteria, archaea, and fungi live in almost every environment on Earth and perform some extremely important jobs like decomposing dead stuff. So they also make some of the foods we eat, and they help scientists explore and advance gene-sharing techniques in medicine. There are more fungi, bacteria, and archaea cells in your body than there are your own cells. So it's probably good for us to learn about them. And scientists are still discovering the ways they affect us, positively and negatively. Our final project will be something called the Bacteria Mythbusters Project. You need to start by doing this levels of complexity card sort on FOSS-Web, where you're going to look through these cards and sort them out however you see fit. Can you put these into groups? Well, we've got an archaea cell, which is like a type of a cell. Looks very weird and microscopic. We've got a bacteria cell. Okay, that could kind of go in the same category as archaea cell. Then we have carbon, which is just one little atom of carbon. I don't really think it goes with the cells. It's an atom. I'm going to put it over here. And then we've got the cell membrane. I know that goes inside of a cell, but it's not a cell. So I think I'm going to put it over here. And then we have all of these little dots, which some of them are probably carbon. They look the same as this. But some of them are other substances, H's and O's, probably hydrogen and oxygen. So this could go in here in this category, or maybe we want to put this in a separate group because there's so many of them. You can decide what you want to do. People sorted them in all different ways. Some people looked at like shapes and sizes and colors and other ways that they decided they wanted to sort them. It's your choice how you want to sort them. You can put them into any groups you want. Just go through all the cards and put them into groups. And when you're done, go back to your notebook and just tell me how you sorted them. What were the groups that you put them in? Okay, then you're going to click on this levels of complexity flowchart. And hi, Ida. Hi, dearie. And you're going to fill in these pieces of information. So you need cells are made of cell structures or organelles. And then cell structures or organelles are made of molecules, which are made of atoms. And so fill that in, double click. If you can't scroll down in it, you may need to zoom out. If you zoom to like 50%, you will be able to scroll down. And then make sure to save and close. It should copy your answers into the document. Document. Yeah, Ida. So the next thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to add some examples for each of these things. So cells, cell structures, molecules, atoms. Probably the easiest way to do that is to take a screenshot from the levels of complexity. So if you go back to your card sort and you want to find a cell, you could do any of these cells. There's actually a bunch more cells in here. Elodea cells, fungal cells, human cheek cells are in here too somewhere. No, that's not it. So how do you do a screen grab or a screenshot? Select the area. It's Control Shift and then the little window button. It looks like this. Control Shift and then this little window button on your keyboard to do a cropped screenshot. So if you do Control Shift and you want to grab this fungal cell, you Control Shift, takes a picture of it, saves it to your computer. And then here, you're going to want to insert the image. So I already have a white blood cell, but I'll just show you. Insert, image, upload from computer. Here. It's kind of weird. Insert, image, upload. And if I just go to my recents, it'll have the last thing I took a screenshot of. The fungal cell looks so weird. I think that's yeast. So now I have my picture of my cell. If I tell it to wrap text, I can move it around more easily. Obviously, I don't need two pictures, but I just wanted to show you how to do that. It's probably the easiest way to do it. You can also check out Scale of the Universe. We did it in class. We spent probably like 10 minutes on it, so I don't really want to take the time in the video. But you should check it out. It's very cool. It shows you all different things in our universe and how they compare in their size. You could probably spend 2 hours looking at that website. It's amazing. So that's where I got my screenshots from. If you want to try that, you feel free. You saw the process, so you can do that too. So now I'm just going to delete that. And our next thing we're going to do is, now that we know these 4 levels of complexity, cells are made of cell structures are made of molecules, and molecules are made of atoms. We'll call those kind of like the 4 levels of complexity. So now what I want you to do is go back to your card sort and just make sure that you put the cards within those 4 levels of complexity. So you have your cells, you have your cell structures, you have your molecules, which are groups of atoms, and you have your atoms. Once you have your levels of complexity like looking perfectly, then you're going to do another screenshot. So it'll be Control Shift and then that little window button. Like we just did. Control Shift, window button, and then draw a rectangle around the area you want to screenshot. That will save it to your computer and you can insert the image down here. So yours will look pretty similar to this, I'm guessing. Okay, the final step that you need to do is kind of like a final summary of the levels of complexity. Those 4 levels of complexity. So you have to imagine this scenario where a teacher asks her students, what are Elodea plants made of? And she wants her students to talk about all the levels of complexity and have a pretty sciencey answer. So student A wrote, Elodea plants are made of cells, cell walls, cytoplasm, and chloroplasts. Seems like a pretty good answer. Student B told student A they forgot to include all the levels of complexity. So what does that mean? They're missing some of those 4 levels of complexity. They have cells. They also have cell walls, cytoplasm, and chloroplasts. Those are cell structures. So what are they missing? Look back up here. They have the cells, they have the cell structures, but they forgot to include molecules like DNA and atoms like carbon. So when you rewrite this, you need to include all of the 4 levels of complexity. And it's okay to steal some of their answer. You could even copy and paste this down here. But then you need to improve their answer and add those other 2 levels of complexity into it. So you have a complete answer with all the levels of complexity down here. Okay, and then you're done with your science notebook. You could click on this and submit it on Schoology, and you're good to go for the week. Feel free to email me if you have any questions. That is what I'm here for. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Boop.